father of the beautiful bride, and I am very pleased to welcome you all.
Volume please, volume.
Where is the volume? I am pleased to welcome you all on this very happy occasion of joining up the two families, Burgundies and Ellisons. And I take this opportunity to welcome you all.
Dude.
I was very hesitant to give this speech because my last speech I made was probably 1976. And that I had to make the last speech because I was in IBM and IBM wanted me to test me in the marketing. And I was not in the marketing finally. So basically I chose a career where I was confined to desk and programming and systems analysis and not in a marketing, which requires a lot of speeches. But when I told Doug about this, he said, "Don't worry, we are all friends and one family." So I got pepped up basically. I said, "Okay." What he said is, "Okay, we're all friends and one family. So let us go ahead with this and address all of you and take this opportunity, which is my privilege." Let me start by congratulating all the members of our extended members of the family, Swarna, Doug, Elizabeth, for doing all the needful to make this a truly happy and joyful wedding celebration. I need to acknowledge here the contributions of my children and their spouses, Indira, Sanjay, Anil, Jyoti, Anupama and Prajit. Most importantly, my grandson, Rohan, for supporting me as we prepared for the wedding. Our happiness has been tripled by the presence here of our key members of our family members who have flown considerable distances on this occasion from across the Atlantic. My brother-in-law Prakash Vulkutla and my nephew Chandrasekhar, Dr. Chandrasekhar. At Beryl, Nancy and little Annabelle as well as PJ. And from West Coast, of course, my nephew who somehow absented here, he was not here, but niece Janaki and grandniece Nivedita who are here. In addition, contributing to our happiness in the presence of all of you, dear friends and of my family, a very memorable occasion for all of us. It's no surprise to me that my daughter Swarna has been able to draw us together across such long distances on this occasion. She has always been very quick in making friends and winning hearts. When she was little, she was first to introduce us to the new families in our neighborhood. So we are always depending on her. She has always been very inquisitive and curious at everything in her surroundings, willing to try always new things and break through new boundaries. She has been the driver for us to explore new experiences with her. Of course, she was a very naughty child and caused us very anxious moments along the way. But reflecting back, these were the very qualities which made her successful young woman, both in her professional and personal life. We believe Swarna has made excellent choice in Doug. When my wife and I met Doug during our last visit, we were quite impressed with the affection he showed towards all of us, especially to Swarna, and his interest in learning about the Indian culture and meshing into it with deep interest. He is also a perfectionist like Swarna, as they are, and I think they are all well-matched couple in this quality. I would like to extend our invitation, Doug, Swarna, Ken and Elizabeth, to visit us in India and give us an opportunity to introduce them to all of our family members over there who are anxiously looking forward to meeting you all people. I have a lot of brothers and sisters. Let us all wish the newlywed very happy and long married life together for the rest of their lives. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Ram. That was lovely, thank you. Hi there, I'm Peter, or PJ, the so-called best man. Bit of a misnomer, but
Not at all.
yeah, call me Peter, call me PJ. His name actually don't go to me when we first met at university. There were 3 Peters in our block, weren't there? And so we're all called by our initials, and mine seems to have stuck. It's a real privilege to be here, a real privilege to be asked by Doug to be best man, particularly in these fantastic surroundings. When I first came over to New York about 4 years ago to come and visit Doug, this was the first place he brought me, and that scene there, that view is just fantastic, and to actually be here now speaking to you all with that behind me, it's sort of quite an honour, really. A little bit of a surprise to be best man. Doug's sort of well connected, always has been. Most of you here today were at the fantastic ceremony that took place yesterday, the Indian wedding ceremony, which was beautiful, a lovely experience. Doug, as he always does, he went the whole hog and dressed for the occasion in a full Indian wedding outfit, looked absolutely splendid, but did completely remind me of Sergeant Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. And I'm sort of privileged to be here as best man ahead of maybe Ringo or Paul. I thought perhaps they're busy. Over the last few days since I've been here in the States, I've met some fantastic, lovely people. What I was surprised about is the number of requests I've had to dig the dirt on Doug. It's just nice people to sort of say, you must know some tales of debauchery and riotous behaviour. Well, maybe I do, maybe I don't. Let's see. Of course, we did, as I said earlier, we first met at university, and we did have get us to some fantastic pranks back then. But Swarner, don't worry, I won't be relating too many of those tales. Well, for three reasons mainly. Firstly, I've been paid off, and to reveal anything too much would be in breach of contract. Secondly, Doug's moved the speeches so well that in fact he's talking after me, so anything I say about him, he's in a position to take revenge. And thirdly, there's a little bit of Keith Richards syndrome here. Now obviously he couldn't remember anything from the 60s, 70s and 80s. And I'm having difficulty remembering tales from our years in the early 80s. Just a small, 2 or 3 year period, but memories do get a bit hazy. So yeah, don't worry too much for it. And run. Kick me on the shins if I'm saying anything. Yeah. Well, I suppose we've heard a bit from Ram about Swarner. I suppose we should hear a bit about Doug. I first met Doug when I started at university at York in September 1980, when we were 5 years old. Well, maybe not. I was 18 years old. My dad dropped me off, and you left sort of pretty much fend for yourself. And I'm sure that everyone in the room has been through that same experience at some point. So it's sort of quite a nervous, intimidating time. And I was fortunate enough, the first person I met when I got to York was Doug, who had been there for a few days, knew his way around, and just made me feel very, very comfortable and at home. And was a really friendly chap. He had the other advantage, of course, of looking to me, the spitting image of one of my favourite TV characters at the time. And I don't know if any of you can guess who it might be. And I know you won't be too pleased to hear this. Happy Days? Richie Cunningham? And somehow that was quite comforting to have, the first person I met to look like good old Richie. A good wholesome lad, just like our Doug.
Just wish you had a more successful career like.
So, let's say that was the first, he was the first person I met. He was actually a year younger, he was only 17. It wasn't that I was a delinquent, honestly. He'd actually passed all his exams a year before everyone else. Smart ass. But that was Doug. And at that time, as now, he's a very, very clever guy, a real good friend. Always able to befriend anyone, talk to anyone, pretty much about anything. Then, as now, he doesn't suffer fools gladly, as me and Ken, my partner in crime, over the last few days, have found on a number of occasions, haven't we, Ken?
We have.
But there we are. But one fool we did have to suffer at that time was a lad called Nigel. He was a young sort of Bill Gates lookalike, a bit of a geek, and it just so happened that firstly he was the only the third person to have arrived at York at that time in our block, so there were three of us. And also I had the misfortune to have to share a room with him for the first year at York. And I've checked with Doug, there's no one in the room here called Nigel. Well, none of the guests, none of the staff are. But yeah, he was a Nigel, appropriate name. And the first day we were there, we went into York to sort of get to know the city. It's a fantastic city. I don't know if you have been to England, do go to York, it's a great place. And the three of us were wandering around, and after about 2 hours, we were so fed up with them, weren't we? Yep. That we exercised this escape from Nigel routine and took a different turn and got away from it. And I think from there, a certain bond between us sort of existed, and we always laugh about that. So from then on, because I was having to share with Nigel, we sort of regularly had escape from Nigel routines, really, which usually meant being out as much as possible and as long as possible. So yes, sorry about this Warner, but the pub was quite often involved. Not that Doug enjoyed it, I know he didn't, but to drag him along. And after the pub, of course, rather than going back to the room, we'd have to stay up as late as we could. One activity we undertook back then was obviously late teenagers. We were honing our air guitar skills. And as you probably know, the only way to hone your air guitar skills are on actual implements, not instruments, but squash rackets, tennis rackets, pool cues, that sort of thing.
Vacuum cleaners. I do remember. That was
Anyway, of course, as you might not be surprised to hear, Doug had a little bit of guitar playing experience, so of course he was playing his tennis racket in the proper way, plucking the correct strings at the correct time. I remember one particular night where he sort of criticised me for not doing the same, but as I did remind him, the only thing was at that time I was playing a vacuum cleaner. I'm not sure how you correctly play a vacuum cleaner. But they were great memories, keeping the neighbours awake, jamming to the likes of Thin Lizzy, Eddie and the Hot Rods, Led Zeppelin, and of course Kiss. One story I wouldn't mind telling, if okay, is it was a story at York, which I think shows two two or three of Doug's great attributes, but particularly his loyalty and his resourcefulness. We'd actually gone on a pub crawl, which we did from time to time. It was on a friend's birthday on this occasion. I mean, that wasn't particularly the reason for it. I think we found that any day of the week with a wine, it was a good day to go on a pub crawl. There was quite a large group of us, and we went to an unfamiliar area of York where we'd been told not to go because the locals didn't particularly like the students. And I mean, York itself is a really, really friendly city. And generally we had no problems at all, apart from this night. We got to this particular pub, and one of our friends, I think it was Keith, wasn't it, had upset one of the locals, and we'd left. What he'd said or done anyway, we left, and I looked behind, and we'd been followed out on our way back to the campus, university campus. And Keith and I got into a face-to-face altercation, sort of in the middle of the street, with this particularly nasty looking local bloke who was probably about as tall as this room here. A real big bruiser, let's call him Neanderthal man. So there we were, sort of arguing with him, his mates coming on, backing him up. Knowing that we'd been out with a group of maybe 10 of us, I looked over my shoulder expecting the rest of the lads to be there supporting us, and they'd all gone. With one exception, of course, which was Doug. And there he was, calmly walking back to see where we'd got to. And as he came back, there was Keith and I exchanging pleasantries in our best Anglo-Saxon in the middle of York. And this Neanderthal man was getting particularly agitated, very angry, and even uglier, if that was possible. Doug calmly intervened, sort of pointing out to this chap and his mates who were all sort of following behind that York needed its students, its university. It was a great place to be. The mixture was absolutely fantastic, and gave a really good reasoned argument as to why we should be arguing. And it was quite funny because Neanderthal man just stopped in his tracks. And he had a look about him like King Kong from the King Kong movie, where he was slightly perplexed and bemused and trying to work out words of more than 2 syllables that Doug had used on him. And everything just was like this pause. And then we just ran for our lives. And we completely got away with it. And when we could, got around the corner, when we were at the same distance, we just laughed our heads off. It was so funny. So that was Doug, loyal, standing by his mates, resourceful, and quick-witted. And he's always been the same. But also that time, I must say, he was quick on his feet. Not sure that's the case now. Yeah. And he's also, another point, as someone would have noticed, he's able to give a sound, reasoned argument, even when he's wrong.
It's always logical.
Yeah. And he's never wrong. Well, he is wrong, isn't he? He is wrong. So anyway, that was a couple of tales from university. Since then, we've kept in touch. We meet up regularly. Obviously, since Doug's been over here in New York, New Jersey, we haven't seen as much of each other as previously, but we still meet up. We're godfather to each other's children. We've taken holidays together. Had a lot of good times. Also some difficult times. I remember about 10 years ago I had some problems business-wise, and a couple of phone calls to Doug with his knowledge of the city and banking. It was just, it was such a comfort, and such a good mate at that time as well. I have a lot of shared interests, particularly sport. But Doug was always, and is still the same, always trying something different. It might be skiing, it's been cars, technology, whatever it is, it always throws his heart and soul into everything. It's now sailing, for example. There was a time, about 10 or 15 years ago, I think, when he dabbled with politics. And because Doug throws himself into everything, you could just see him quite easily becoming an MP, he could be Prime Minister and sort of ruling the world almost. In his, with his Richie Cunningham charm, of course. But just imagine that now, we could all be here today with President Obama as best man and Maggie Thatcher as the bridesmaid. Of course, Doug has three great kids, Georgina, Edward and Natalie, absolutely brilliant. Obviously, I've known them since they were babies, and they're just really proud of all three of them. Fantastic, great to Of course, Ed, I haven't seen for a while. He's such a cool dude these days. Suave, sophisticated, a real great lad. And he reminds me so much of his godfather. And of course, the rest of Doug's family, who I've met a number of times in the past, but because we've all been here for a few days now, I've got to know so much better, and had a real great time with Ken and Elizabeth, Auntie Beryl. Had a great laugh with Ken. We seem to be in trouble all the time, but we've got away with it so far. And of course, Doug's tall, leggy, almost Liz Curley's sister, Nancy. And a lovely horse Berryhill. Is that okay? Is that worth breakfast? And a beer? And it's been great to get to know you all better over these last few days. And of course, I only met Swarner for the first time on Thursday, and great, lovely privilege to meet you also. Really enjoyed yesterday, meeting all your family, and meeting Graham and Sita, sitting with them today. It's been lovely to meet all of your family. Lovely, thank you. And the two of you are so happy together. It's great to see you so happy, and long may it continue. Well, thanks for listening. That's me done. Just one last thing. I wonder if you could all please stand and raise your glasses to the gorgeous bridesmaid, Natalie. Thank you, everyone. And now over to Doug. Safe flight.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to add my welcome to Mr. Kuragantes, or should I say Nana. Thank you very much for wonderful wishes, and thank you to all of you for coming. As he said, many have come very, very far, so we really do appreciate the efforts that you've made. It's really made our weekend, so thank you for doing that. I know some of you have really had to shift schedules. It was short notice. We do appreciate everything you've done to be here. But obviously the biggest thanks I have are to my fantastically gorgeous wife. She is so beautiful, she really is. She's a great friend, great companion, and as PJ says, I am over the moon to be standing here as her husband. But I'm even more happy because a few weeks ago she was in Argentina and Brazil, the land of tango dancers and Adonises, and she's still here tonight. In the past few months, she's managed to juggle work, business trips, and plan 2 just-in-time weddings. So she's going to write a book and a TV series, I think. And then I can get accustomed to the life which I prefer, which is leisure. I want to thank her so much for being uniquely competent, imaginative, and organised, and to have given me and all of us here such a wonderful celebration of our marriage. Many of you have known Swarna for longer than I have, would have realised a long time ago what a wonderful woman she is and a great friend. However, I have lived in daily fear in the past few months for her weekly update on Project Wedding, as it was referred to in my Outlook invite. Meetings where I have to review my key performance indicators, my budget outturn, my priority list. And for those of you conferenced in on some of those meetings would have known the same fear, I'm sure, as I had when my performance was below expectations. My great worry now is that she has other projects she is conceiving or attempting to conceive that she will approach with the same rigorous metrics and assessment schedule. I know all the gentlemen here today will side with me when a woman, let alone a bride-to-be, says, "Well, what do you want?" You know you're doomed. Either because you haven't been listening or paying attention to whatever it is she's been doing prior to the question, or because you know that whatever you say is not going to be the answer. Either because actually the answer you want to say is to go home, or for England to win the World Cup. And if you're unlucky enough to have an opinion on the subject at hand, because that's the last thing you want, an opinion, you really need to find out what does she think, because that is going to be the key to the question she's posed. And gentlemen, am I right that it's very difficult to latch on to what she's really thinking at that point in time? There are no clues. However, I take great comfort that my fear and trepidation was nothing like the Kharkov office in Ukraine, which she went to in February for her job, when she had to go and audit their performance. The local manager held a pre-visit meeting to prepare the staff there for Swarner's arrival. Not surprising, you may think. You may be surprised at some of the things that he presented, because at first her fearsome reputation had already preceded her. They lived in fear. They were also a bit worried about the title of her presentation, which was Grab Some Buds. But the staff were rather worried, not speaking English that well, about what that meant. Their physical well-being, which she could grab a few of them and kind of cast them off. So the local manager's first task was to placate the staff's apprehension. And he had a PowerPoint presentation with 2 slides. The first was a picture of a marauding tiger with Swarner photoshopped across the chest and a large cross superimposed. The second was a picture of a docile pussycat, again photoshopped with Swarner on the side. But I digress. She is the most wonderful companion I can imagine. Fun, vivacious, supportive, loving, adventurous, compassionate, and of course, absolutely gorgeous. So thank you for seeing in me the type of person that I aspire to be, and for agreeing to marry me and share the rest of our lives together. I love you very much. I'd like to also add my wonderful children, thanks to my wonderful children, Georgina, Edward and Natalie, for their understanding and love in the past few years, respecting the decisions I've made, and most importantly, welcoming Swarner into our lives. You 3 are such wonderful human beings. You're very special to me and to Swarner. You've coped so well with many changes in our lives with maturity and understanding beyond your years and embracing the changes and opportunities, which is a fantastic credit to you. Thank you for all your support and love. I'd like to especially add my thanks to Natalie, Swarner's bridesmaid. You are quite beautiful tonight, and thank you so much. I'd also like to thank my mum and dad, who have been so supremely patient with me over the years, riding the lows and the highs of life with me and trying to help for me to keep a steady eye on the horizon. You've been simply the best parents one can have. And I thank you for all you've done for me over the years and for all your love and support. I'd also like to thank the Kuriganti family for welcoming me and my family into their family. You've all been fantastically warm and friendly to us and made us feel one of your very own from the start, so thank you very much. We really appreciate Nana and Sita coming so far. I know New York in March is really not where you want to be, so we really do appreciate it. I know the journey seems longer every time you come, and we thank you so much for coming again at a pretty short notice and being here with us and for everything that happened yesterday. Thank you so much. I'd also like to thank PJ for not spilling the beans and realising that I did a smooth program switch. The batting order was changed in my favour. As PJ said, we've known each other for 31 years. It's a long time, and we've had some fantastic times together. and also, you know, our own share of problems that we've worked through. I deeply appreciate you being here, for coming so far at short notice, and for using holiday time and being with us. It's fantastic of you, and I thank you very much. Before I go, I have a few little observations on my new cultural experiences that I have to share with you. Firstly, of course, I have the ribbons from the Indian crowd about the cricket. I mean, yesterday was just everybody coming up, you know what the England score is? Yes, I know what the England score is. The PJ was we worked out a code that PJ was going to give me, so I was up to date. So everybody from, you know, the eldest to the youngest knew what England were doing yesterday. So in the past I've just had Australians to deal with. Now I have a whole load of Indians telling me how wonderful or badly their cricket team are doing compared to England. So, never mind. But I now know the secret. You guys have got this puja thing. This is the thing. So, you can have a car puja, a puja for business success, a puja for anything you want. So I was so intrigued by this concept that I actually looked it up. And I found a definition. And the definition is: a learned priest performing sacred Hindu rituals with focused attention, and by exactly pronouncing the correct mantra, he broadcasts out the right wave of mental energy, reshaping reality to the desired effect. Now, I have to say, I've worked for a few companies that seem to have their own puja going on. Because they had mantras of their own, presumably with the goal of reshaping reality to their desired effects. So I think it's still wonderful. So we now know, September, when England comes to India, I'm having a puja. Okay? And we're going to win. And for rugby. My second observation is just how hospitable, generous and supportive you are. Not only to me joining your family, but to those around you in general. They are qualities which are precious and sometimes seem to have been forgotten in Britain and America. Yesterday I met many of Sanjay and Indira's friends who've helped them get through some really horrible challenges in the past year. They are such wonderful people, such a sense of community. In adversity, one really finds out who your real friends are. 9 months after I met Swarna, I found myself without a job in Manhattan, where, you know, let's be frank, some things can be very superficial in Manhattan. Many people might have decided that, you know, this was a challenge too far. New boyfriend, not Swarna. The vows we exchanged earlier, to a great extent, don't do justice to the love and commitment I feel every day from her. She has been a rock for me during this time, and has helped me face each day with an optimism, even when I haven't really felt optimistic. During this trying time, she stood solidly by me and kept me going when things have been tough. She is simply the most complete person I've ever met. Ram and Sita, you should be very proud of your daughter. I know you are. She is quite unique. I thank you for her, and I promise to give as much devotion and love as she rightly deserves. So, I will end. A toast. A toast to family, health, happiness, to fair winds and good fortune, to an end to adversity and difficulties to those who might face them, and to fairy tales. Because my meeting and marrying Swarna is a true fairy tale. Thank you. May I raise a glass somewhere to all of those. Cheers.
Yeah, thanks, Doug. I thought I was done. Well, my recommendation now, depending on you, is to get dancing. Personally, I'll be getting on the ale, or the wine, or the Coke.
Of course you can.
Anna.
Excuse me. Thank you. Thanks, PJ. I can't much